Hey, what's going on, guys? Midnight Sound 518 here, and we have another project video. Had to unlock and open the car here real quick. Wow! So one of my biggest complaints about my car, the Speed, is that I don't have a backup camera, which really sucks. You don't need one, and I spent most of my driving life without one, and then I got the Tacoma and I had a backup camera pre-installed, and that thing is freaking phenomenal. Just being able to have one is amazing. Obviously, it doesn't like negate your need to look around while you're backing up, because it's not all inclusive, but it definitely helps. So I got some random bullshit aftermarket backup camera that I need a knife to open. Anyways, yeah, so I bought some random BS backup camera and off of Amazon for really cheap, because I don't really know what my intentions are with my head unit and all that sort of stuff in the future, and it might be one of those things that I'm gonna need to get a different camera. So I bought some cheap, like $30 one that had really high reviews. It had like 4,000 reviews and it was sitting at like 4.5 stars. So honestly, I'll take it. But in this box, which if you guys want to check out this camera, there will be a link down in the description. So I'll be able to give you like an actual visual and feedback and shit on that. Anyways, looks like we've got our power cable, and then we've got our regular, I'm assuming this is a singular. It is, yeah, there's only 2 plugs. So this should be our video feed running from the back of the car all the way up to the front. And then looking at the camera itself, oh yeah, check it out. Oh, it's so small. Oh, the pictures make it look way bigger than it was. So there it is. It's got these little LEDs on there, which technically you can disable by cutting one of these 3 wires. And it's supposed to help light up behind you. I think that's kind of dumb, and I may end up changing that, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like without touching anything, and then if I don't like it, I can change it. But what's really interesting is that you've got 3 wires here. One of them controls the LEDs, one of them controls the like the parallel lines for the backup camera thing, and then the other one controls the orientation of the picture, and I'll be able to tell you which is which here in a second. But if you're going to be using this as like a front-facing camera, then you can cut that. It'll invert, or I guess, yeah, it will invert the picture so that you're seeing that front-facing view as it was showing in the car. Because looking at the backup camera, I don't know, it's going the other direction. So that's what that's for. And then, of course, you've got your power plug, which is going to get connected to my reverse lights. So I'm just going to splice into my reverse lights so that the camera kicks on when the lights kick on. And then when the power is sensed through there and it sends the video feed, it should, with my Boss Audio head unit, it should automatically kick on the backup camera. I don't know how that works because I didn't install my head unit. It came with the car when I bought it. So reading through this, just to give you a quick description of what each color is, the green wire, so that one right there, wow, the green wire, if you cut that one, it will remove the guidelines, which you'll see here in a second. And then if you are going to be using the camera as a side or a front, then you will cut the white wire. So the white wire is what you're going to be using to flip or invert that camera view, and then that brown wire, like I said, is for the LEDs to control that being on or off. Installing this, obviously it's a universal camera, so there's no instructions on when and where and how to run the cables and that kind of stuff on a Mazdaspeed. And like I said, I did not install my head unit, so I'm gonna have to take the dash apart in order to pull the head unit out in order to figure out where to plug in the camera. But it should be pretty simple. I did look up the specs or the like maintenance guide and all that sort of stuff for the head unit, the owner's manual. There we go. I got there eventually. I did look up the owner's manual, and there is ports on the back of the head unit that I'll be able to plug in my video connector. So it should be really easy once I pull the head unit out just to plug in the cable in the back. And so my thought is that I'll be able to run the cable in through the rear bumper into the back of the cab, right? And then I'm just going to go up probably the passenger side, just following the trim right along the carpet. And then once I get up to the front here, Just like I did with my gauge pods and the routing of the wires from the passenger side, I'm just going to run it up through the dash into the transmission column in the front, and it should come straight up into the back of the head unit. It's going to be a lot of work, but that's just to make things look pretty. Whoop, my bad. So after reading through the instructions a little bit, which are very small, so this is the cable bundle that we're going to be running for the sensing wire and all that sort of stuff, and the video feed. But on the end of each of these, you have the main cable, the black one, and then you also have this red power wire looking thing, right? And there's one on each end. And so basically, when we hook up this, which is the power to the camera, you got your ground, of course, which is the black, and then the red is going to be going to the reverse lights. You will also plug one of these into the reverse lights as well, and that's what the trigger is going to be in order to kick the head unit into auto, like showing the backup camera kind of thing whenever you go into reverse. And then the other end, obviously, the one that plugs into the head unit, there should be a sensing connection on the back of the head unit that I can connect this one to in order to achieve that. So shouldn't be too bad. Let's go ahead and get this camera thrown in. This just got a little bit harder, but don't worry and don't panic. So your reverse lights are up in here. Those little plates, which are right there. Jeez, the wind is really picking up right now. So I got the camera mounted on the plate here. Up underneath, I hooked in, so there was an extra little wire sticking off of this end of the plug. And then, of course, you had the sensing wire hooking off of the yellow plug, right? So I connected those two together. I'm assuming that the power supply, which is going to the reverse light, right, is going to be supplying this red cable, this sensing line type of thing. It doesn't say in the instructions, so that's just my hope. So I'm going to plug these into the camera. Of course, the camera wires, I just kind of ran down into the bumper. You can't see it super well, but right there. So I'm going to plug them into their respective colors and get these sort of kind of strap zip tied up. And then I ran them out through the bumper here because I was going to go in this way, but there's no hole to access, which is really unfortunate. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to run the cables up the side here, and then I'm going to pop out this, oh my god, this wind, man. Anyways, before I was so rudely interrupted by wind and a helicopter, I'm going to try to pop this boot off right here because it should give me access to my reverse light wire, whichever one that is, so that'll be fun to figure out. Anyways, so I'm going to hook into that, and then that cable is just, or this extension wire, wherever the hell it is, yeah, this one I guess, is just going to kind of weave in through there, and that should be fine. As for this one, okay, so let me show you what I've done, because I'm deleting a whole bunch of footage because I changed my mind on some things. Yeah, so as you know, I ran the power cables and all that sort of stuff up through this edge. You can kind of see it peeking through right there, a little bit of a red. Originally, I pulled this gasket out and I ran it into the car just right there, and then I was going to run it up the edge and then do some whatever, but I had a better thought. So I still pulled the gasket, but I pulled it further up so I could run the cable all the way along the inside of the gasket here into the headlight, or the tail light housing. So I pulled out the tail light, and then I'll show you here that we have the light, or the power cable, and then the sensing cable coming in through a couple of different plugs, like holes. We have this power coming in through the bottom right bolt there, bolt hole, because it was wide and had good space, and then that one coming in through the brake light, which works good. And then the little gasket that's on the back of the light itself is going to seal it all nice and pretty. So now the next challenge, I'm not going to worry about any of this or the head unit wiring yet, because I got to get power to the camera. In order to take off all of these things, though, is really easy. A little confusing, but really easy. So this one just has a press clip right there, a circle that I don't really know what that's there for, and then your little mounting point for if you have that extra plate that sits up here, right? And so it just kind of pulls straight off from there, but you got to take this piece out first. In order to take that out, which is this right here, the little top of this ball is the push factor for the body clip. So you pull the ball out, that releases the little tabs in the back, and then you can just pull it straight out. If y'all didn't know, to get access to the reverse light, pretty easy. It's got that little cutout rectangle on the side, and so you just get a screwdriver in there and pop that down and out. And then this one, which is the cover for that, just pulls straight off. Super easy, super simple. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and figure out what the heck I'm doing with this, and then we'll keep going from there. Okay, so update. I have yet again changed what I'm doing. So I ended up putting all this back together. I'm probably gonna have to take it back apart again so that I can run this cable, which is the one that goes all the way up to the head unit. But this one, I backed out of its spot in the housing, the tail light housing, and then I ran it all the way up the edge of this trim right here, or this gasket, which once again you can just pull that straight out. And so I had to stop because I needed to run some extra cable length, so I just spliced a new extension onto that, and I'm gonna run it up here. I'm gonna go into the door seal, which was my original plan, and then I'm going to fish it up through here, fish it along this way. This will be my ground tap, and then I'll further fish it in this way. I'll probably have to take off this panel just to make it a little bit easier. Maybe not. Depends on how difficult this looks like it's going to be to take off. But once again, this red and white-ish wire right here is what we're going to be connecting to for our reverse light. So just showing you how I ran this, I just undid both sides of that like gasket type seal thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm not a real mechanic. I do this shit myself. Anyways, I just ran a screwdriver through it and then taped my cables to it. And now I can feed them up into the housing. I'll probably pull them out through here just so I don't drop them back down into the thing. And then I'll try to feed them through to here. And then feed them through to here. And then I'll keep working my way up from there. So I've been messing with these for about 20 minutes trying to figure this out. I knew this was going to be like the most aggravating part, is getting these boots back on. But what I didn't realize is that you could take them out. So if you look at the top here, you have a little thingamajig here, a little hole, and a little hole right here. And underneath each hole is a little tab. So if you get your screwdriver in here and push down on that tab under both of them, you can pop that whole assembly right out. And I think this will make it a lot easier for us to be able to slide that boot in, because the boot needs to go, or this white plastic needs to go inside of that portion of the boot right there. And then this little lip is going to tuck up inside the metal of the frame. So this should make it easier. So there we have it. Nothing crazy pretty, just a little bit of pink electrical tape to hold that in place there. I've got the ground crimped and screwed in here, and then the power cable running behind this trim piece, and then I'm just going to do a little T-split right into the light right there. So I've been working my way along the trim here. It's actually super easy to remove everything. There's actually straight through there a direct line into that little felt cap where we had access to the tail light on the passenger side. And so I could run the cable straight through there, down along this, and it's coming out right here. This trim piece that sits on the floor just pops straight up and out, which is really easy. It's worth noting though that you have to pull the rubber trim off in order to take off pieces like this one, and then the so I guess this is like kind of the C pillar ish. I guess it's really more than that, but the B pillar piece right here rests underneath the rubber trim. So on both sides you'll have to pop off the little foot trim, and then these little plastic edges rest up underneath that rubber trim. But I'm going to continue to work my way down, and I'm going to run the cable all along here, and then I'm going to go straight across from there. I'm not going to show you how I will take out the center console, because I've done it a lot. But long story short, if you go in here, there's two 10mm bolts or screws or whatever. And then up here, this center portion right here just pulls straight up and out. Same with this one, it just pulls straight up and out. Behind this piece, there are two more like Phillips head screwdrivers or bolts that you unscrew, and then the entire center console can be pulled out. I haven't pulled this portion right here out before, but I don't think it should be really that bad, and I don't need to take it out completely, just enough so that I can get to the back of the head unit to be able to plug in the new cable. Now that I have the front half of the car apart, as you can see, these the center console just kind of pulls backwards, straight backwards actually. I'm going to unplug the air conditioning, climate control sort of segment right here. So there's going to be two screws, one here and then one on the opposite side, so I can pull that section out, and then I should be able to have access to pop the head unit out, I think. Well, here we are. Like I said, you just pull that out with the two screws and then the two plugs. The rest of this kind of pops off. The infotainment system is underneath the ventilation system, like trim piece, so you have to pull it off as kind of a unit, and then this is second. All right, in this bundle of trash in the back here, there's a whole bunch of random things. So I've got rear camera power output, and then I've got reverse input. So I don't necessarily know. Rear camera power output kind of feels like the connection that I have going to the tail light, so I don't think I have to mess with that one. But reverse input is kind of what I'm thinking is what I'm going to need to do for putting it in reverse and then kicking the camera on. I don't know what a lot of these other ones are, so I'm not going to mess with them, but I've got reverse camera input right here. And then once again, if we look at our plug, this is the reverse camera along with the trigger wire. So I'm going to hook up the trigger wire, I think, to this reverse input. Doing a quick test, it says no signal detected when I clicked on the camera. So maybe it'll work. Let's put it in the reverse. Oh shit. Holy crap, it works. Check it out. Oh, that's so sick. I got a reverse camera. All right, well, good to know. I'm gonna go ahead and button everything up then and put the car back together. I've got a bundle of wires back here that looks like trash. So I'm gonna try to clean that up a little bit and then put everything back together. So it's just a quick showcase of, let's see if we can get it to dim out a little bit. So the backup camera looks surprisingly good, and I'll just kind of like roll forward here in the driveway. You can see it's very, very clear. It looks quite good. And when, you know, backing up at night and all that sort of stuff, the light output from the car doesn't like overly fill the screen, and it doesn't like super saturate the colors and all that sort of stuff. But I will say that even though that is true at night, I'll show you what it looks like during the day, which isn't bad unless there is direct sunlight or something aimed at the camera, such as backing up my driveway in the afternoon and I'm completely blind. I'll show you that. So it's not as bright as it could be at the moment, but with the evening sun peeking up over the edge of the house, you can see the saturation of color. And so it's even worse in the morning when the sun is coming from the back of the house and it just completely blanks out the screen, and it's pretty much impossible to look at. So at night, it's not too bad. It's actually surprisingly decent, but during the day, as you can see, it's really not the best. Now, this would be probably fixed if the camera was higher on the car and looking more down, but I don't really have that option because my license plate is super low to the ground, and well, it kind of is what it is. So anyways, there you have it.
Well, that's the backup camera, dudes. Nothing crazy. It wasn't the most difficult thing that I've done on the car. Definitely had a little bit of art, I guess, to figuring out how and where I was going to route the wires and all that sort of stuff. So nothing crazy. But it's done, and I am, for the most part, happy with it. Definitely wish that the camera quality, like the video quality, is a little bit better. But, I mean, I can't complain because it's better to have video than no video. But in the future, I'll end up swapping over to a different one. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please drop a like and a subscribe. If you have any questions, then drop them down below, and I will answer them as soon as I can. See you next time. Midnight Sun out.